Yo, what is up, guys? It's Ryan from Christian Coasters. I'm back with another coaster review. Today we're going to be talking about Wild Eagle at Dollywood, the 2012 B&M Winged Coaster. I have rode two of the B&M Winged Coasters in North America. I've rode Wild Eagle and I've rode Gatekeeper at Cedar Point. This thing has a drop of 135 feet, 4 inversions, speed of 61 mile per hour, a track length of 3,127 feet, and a duration of 2 minutes and 22 seconds. Not very bad stats at all. It's a pretty long ride, actually. The nice thing about Wild Eagle is if you're afraid of heights, the drop goes right along the terrain of the hill that it sits on, so you really aren't looking down at anything until you're actually going down the drop. And unlike Gatekeeper, it doesn't have that wing over drop. It actually just goes straight down like a normal coaster. Not gonna lie, going into Dollywood, I was having low expectations set for Wild Eagle because I was comparing the layout to Gatekeeper, how it has its wing over drop, and Wild Eagle just goes straight down like I said before. And I did not expect that wing coasters could be intense because all I rode was Gatekeeper, and it's really a slow ride that just gives you some slow inversions and some near miss elements, and that's what makes the ride fun at Gatekeeper. With Wild Eagle, on the other hand, it puts the pedal to the metal. You get some grayed out moments, and it has a lot more speed to it than Gatekeeper too, so it's a very interesting experience to say the least. So to explain how different it is, I'll give you my experience going through the layout. I should also mention in my weekend there, I only rode Wild Eagle twice, once in the front row and once in the second to back row on the left side. The front row ride was on the right, and I definitely prefer the back row ride, which is funny to say that because I usually prefer Gatekeeper in the front row because of the slow inversions. But like I said before, this ride is very different, and you get a lot more intensity in the back row on Wild Eagle. The first thing you do after you go down the drop is go into this vertical loop. And man, let me tell you, from that first loop I was caught off guard. I grayed out in the first loop. Then you bank right straight into another inversion, and I don't know my inversion terminology super well, but I think you could specify it as a 0G roll. It's a very awesome element. It's not a slow one like Banshee would have at Kings Island. It's a very fast whippy one. Awesome element back to back. Super intense. I grayed out in that element as well. Then you go straight into an Immelman, which flips you upside down and then puts you in the direction you had just came from. And it was a pretty intense element itself. Then that takes you straight into another 0G roll, which banks the opposite direction as the first one, towards the left. And that's a pretty good one too. Pretty whippy inversion. Notice how your first 5 elements consist of a drop and your only 4 inversions of the ride. The rest of the ride consists of pretty tame elements. It's a little airtime hill, a helix to the left, another little airtime hill, and then a helix to the right, and then you're straight into the brake run. To me, the intensity of the ride kind of fades immediately after you go into those 4 inversions. Once you start getting into the helixes and airtime hill, you can definitely feel the ride slowing down. And I can definitely say the same thing about Gatekeeper as well. That's a similarity they both have. I say the first half of the ride is definitely stronger on both of those rides, especially Wild Eagle. I wouldn't say those last 4 elements kill the ride either. I bet it's designed that way so the ride can slow down before it goes into the brake run. It would be really freaking awesome if it could keep the same pacing throughout the entire ride, but I'm not going to let it ruin the experience. Most of the ride is that 1 minute and 10 seconds probably, I would guess, when you're going through that drop in those first 4 inversions, because it's back to back, rapid transitions, super awesome start to the ride, and it's definitely one of my favorites I've ever done. As for the theme, there's definitely some there. You go outside the entrance and it's got a big old eagle in front of, as part of the sign of Wild Eagle. One of my favorite coaster signs I've ever seen. You go through the line, there's definitely some pictures and facts about eagles. My absolute favorite part of the theming of the ride is actually where there's a sign in the queue line that has Isaiah 40:31 on it. It says, "Those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not grow faint." I think what's pretty cool is that even when I was on the ride, I was definitely feeling like an eagle flying and making all sorts of swoops in the air during those rapid inversions. It was just such a graceful, smooth ride. And that is something I can't emphasize more. This is one of the absolute smoothest, most comfortable B&Ms I have ever been on. My buddies I went with didn't care for the vest restraint. I personally didn't have an issue with it in either of the two rides. Super comfortable ride. really reminded me of Soaring Like an Eagle. And I think looking back, reviewing this coaster, it's even cooler now that I read that verse and then think about how I felt in the ride. So I don't know if that was intentional, but it is really cool in my opinion. I think it's super sweet and makes the ride super awesome. Just gives me more reasons to like the ride. And for the final score out of 100, I'm giving Wild Eagle an 84. And the reason it's not scoring a 90 or above out of 100 is because of those last four elements. I wish the pacing was a little bit better. I wish the ride was just a little bit longer, but still, it's a super, super, super fun ride. Definitely recommend riding this if you go to Dollywood. Definitely try it in the front, back, left, right. Tons of different experiences on this ride. So with that being said, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Keep God number one, and we'll see you guys next time here at Christian Coasters.